What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're diving into a brand new Diablo 2 Resurrected Hardcore Challenge run. Today, I'll be playing as a Chain Lightning Sorceress named Shazam, with only one goal in mind, and that's to fry everything in sight before they fry me. No mercy, no safety net, just raw power, sketchy teleporting, and hopefully not dying to a random gloom. So stick around, see how far we can get in this lightning powered glass cannon, and go from normal to hell in a true solo self-found hardcore fashion. Let's spark some chaos. So to start out the run, we're hitting up the old Countess, our normal rune farming central spot. What we're after is a stealth rune word and a couple of tier runes to throw into a helmet eventually. Somewhere during the grind, we hit level 12, unlocking lightning. And honestly, let me tell you guys, this skill absolutely slaps. When enemies line up and you just mow them down, it's like nature's own taser. It's chef's kiss. I was just out here zapping things like Palpatine at a Jedi convention or something. After way too many counters runs, we finally snagged an Eth and Tal rune for our stealth, but only one tier rune. One. I swear this game's RNG is like rolling a d20 and somehow getting a nat 1 every single time. But hey, progress. We did hit level 17, which means stealth time. Faster cast rate, mana regen, poison resistance. It's basically a Sorc starter pack, and now we are cooking to finish Act 1. Still on the hunt for that second elusive tier rune, we did stumble upon a Death's Guard. Super great for melee with that sweet cannot be frozen, and right after that, well, we ended up finding another Arctic binding belt. It's big cold resistance, and honestly, I was just about to start a fashion show with all this loot that I was getting from the Countess. Continuing our Countess runs to look for that tier rune, we did eventually end up hitting level 18. Finally, we're going to have our first point in Chain Lightning, and I'm super excited about it, especially now that we're going to be ready to start throwing those lightning bolts like Zeus after 3 Red Bulls. And let me tell you, players for Andariel was spicy. Honestly, I was kiting her around like it was a Dark Souls Diablo edition or something like that. But eventually she did go down, and of course she rewarded us with hot garbage. What a classic. Thanks, Andariel.
The evil queen has fallen.
With Andariel down, we hit the sewers to find Radamant. Something about this place just really screams future nightmare fuel on hell difficulty. Maybe I'm paranoid, maybe I'm not. Who knows? But we'll definitely find out in the future here in a little bit.
What a misguided monster.
The positive news, I did end up finally finding that second tier rune. I bought a 2-socket helmet and I slapped them both on there. More mana per kill definitely helps us zap our way through normal, and Shazam definitely loves her mana. Our next stop was the Arcane Sanctuary, and thank God for teleport. It makes life so much easier, and the summoner stood no chance. Blink, and this dude was absolute toast.
That couldn't have.
While we were heading our way over to Duriel, we ended up finding another Crush Flange. Crush Flange, Crush Flange, Crush Flange. Crushing blow for days. I honestly was tempted to just go full melee sorceress. Can you just imagine the memes on that one? Duriel, however, on normal difficulty definitely took longer than expected. Static Field was definitely clutch here. Let's just say I'm not looking forward to facing him in Nightmare or Hell. And as expected, no useful drops for him whatsoever. Just some scrolls. And with Duriel down, it's time to start Act 3. And as we all know, it's always to find Kalim's poor organs. It's basically the Where's Waldo Cannibal edition. First stop, we're looking for this dude's eyeballs. After getting the eyeballs, I realized that my Merc definitely needed a boost in damage, so what I ended up doing was getting a 3-socket polearm and just socketing it with 3 tall runes. Our next mission, however, was to steal back the Gidbin for a shiny new ring. Usually, RNG crushes my hopes here, and I'm hoping that this run I can actually get something good for a change. And when I went and talked to Ormus, let's just say that RNG definitely continued that trend and crushed my hopes faster than I could blink, straight into the garbage pile. After retrieving the Gidbin, we went ahead and powered through Act 3 to grab Kaleem's brain and heart, and man, I really can't stand how large Act 3 layouts are. But honestly, thank God I'm playing the Sorceress because teleport is just an absolute lifesaver. After collecting all the organs, finally we reached the dreaded council in Travancore. I kind of felt that this was going to be a hot mess, but I figured we have no choice. We got to complete this. We did end up getting a blood crescent scimitar, which would have been freaking amazing for my Zealadin in our previous playthrough, but it is what it is. I made the horrible mistake of walking directly into the room with all the council members there just hanging out, and they took out Emilio almost instantly. I had to constantly teleport around and try to kind of kite them all over the room and keep chain lining as much as I could. I honestly felt like I was dodging spells, like I was playing Cuphead all over again. At the end of the day, we ended up clearing out the entire council. Again, it was normal, so we kind of expected that we were going to be able to clear this out. But I feel like I definitely made this a little bit too hard for myself. But we made it. We did make it into the Durance of Hate, and then we're on to Mephisto. And with Mephisto here, let's just say that Chain Lightning was not great on bosses. So once again, I had to static field and then just basically use Emilio for cleanup duty here. Again, we had almost no drops, so what a shocker.
Fisto shall no longer darken our souls with hatred.
After taking Mephisto, our first stop in Act 4 is to take on Easy as well for those 2 free skill points. Honestly, there's no surprise here that it's rough to take him down because this dude is a legit tank. I feel like every single time we take him on, it's just he's a tanky nightmare, and no matter what I do, it takes forever to kill him. But it is what it is, and we're here, and we ultimately end up taking him down for those 2 free easy skill points. That being said, next up is the Hellforge on normal. Not super useful at this stage, but hey, free gems are free gems, am I right? And then we get to Diablo, and oh boy, this fight felt like playing dodgeball, but instead of rubber balls, it was lightning breath and fire waves just flying straight at my face. Emilio got absolutely wrecked. Poor guy didn't even stand a chance. And honestly, I'm not afraid to admit that I had to make multiple town trips just to restock up and heal. But after a really sweaty fight, we finally got him down with literally no reward. Time for Act 5. So I always like to start Act 5 by farming Eldritch on higher player settings. Usually this helps with hitting level 30 before pushing further into the act itself. And this time, it actually worked out pretty well for us. We ended up scoring a Dusk Deep Helm. I personally can't use this yet, so for now I just went ahead and tossed it on Emilio's face to help him survive a little bit longer going into Act 5. And so while farming Eldritch, I figured why not throw Shank in the mix? And that really paid off. We picked up our first Thull rune, so that's putting us one step closer to our dream of making a spirit rune word. And so as we were flying through Act 5, we did make it to the Ancients, and I'm not going to lie, I totally over-prepared for this fight. I dropped potions all over the floor, ready for some sort of epic battle, and they went down way easier than expected, so didn't even need the extra potions on the floor, to be honest. So win-win for us. Bale was honestly no different, just another giant health sponge. And once again, Static Field carried the fight, and Emilio just helped finish him off. And of course, no surprise, garbage drops for us. Before heading into Nightmare, I wanted to do some terror zones for experience and some gear. First up, we had Endariel. I wasn't really expecting much from doing these terror zones because my luck this run has been pretty terrible, but she did drop us a Wall of the Eyeless Bone Shield. Um, Honestly, the shield has some great faster cast rate, mana after kill, and some poison resistance, so this is definitely going to help us in the Nightmare version of Endariel, but it'll be replaced when we have the Rhyme Rune Word. All right, going into Nightmare, we had to save Kane again. I mean, geez, how many times do we have to save this old man? But it kind of worked out for us because we did end up finding a 4 socket partisan polearm, and that's just perfect for us in making the insight once we get the runes. And honestly, we all know the reason we save Kane is because we really want that ring reward. Well, honestly, this ring, one of the best rings I've ever got from this quest as a reward. Triple resists for cold, lightning, and fire, plus a magic fine. What's not to love about this thing? It's amazing. Next up, we're heading back to some Countess runs, and this time it's in Nightmare. So we ended up getting our Shale rune for the Rhyme Shield, which is going to be amazing. And I know we're currently wearing the Wall of the Eyeless, but we still need that Eth rune. And so we also ended up picking up the Am rune as well for a Spirit. Also, totally randomly picked up a Hell rune just by popping up a corpse. And just remember, it's always important to loot those things. And then last but not least, we found our last piece to insight, the Soul Rune. And so, as always, you guys know that my rolls are typically garbage, and this is no different. We got a level 14 meditation aura. But hey, an upgrade is still an upgrade, and Emilio's going to like it whether he likes it or not. So enjoy, Emilio. It was time for Nightmare and Daryl. She gave us a bit more trouble, and our mercenary got smacked. And I had to kite her around for quite a bit of time. But at the end of the day, we danced around the room quite a bit, and we eventually brought her down. So, on to Act Two.
Has fallen. I can't carry anymore.
Starting with Act Two, we headed over to Radaman, and he wasn't that bad. So we just grabbed our free skill point and then made our way on over to the Magalair shortly thereafter.
What a misguided monster.
Now, on our way to the Magalair, we did find another Hell Rune. Hopefully, we get lucky and find a Ko Rune for that obedience that we really want. Now, once we got to the Magalair, I definitely almost got wrecked for not really paying attention to where I was teleporting, so I had to go back to town. But when I did get back, I did clear the room, and we actually ended up getting some really, really nice lightning resistance gloves that had a huge, huge chunk of magic find. So, definitely a good upgrade there from a magic find perspective. It's going to help us find better gear, hopefully, later on in the run. Now, to the Queen's room, it was just easy enough, right? Cleared out the room, got the Staff of Kings, and we were ready to move and groove there. Now, I realized after finishing the Maggot layer, I totally could have just cubed up to an Eth room this entire time to just finish our Rhyme rune word. It's a great rune word to have that cannot be frozen, all resistance, magic fine, totally worth the trade off for losing that faster cast rate for the Wall of the Eyeless that we're currently using. And then back in the grind for trying to find the components to finish the Staff of Kings. The Claw Viper Temple was pretty smooth, actually. We got in, cleared out the room, grabbed the amulet, and popped back out. Next stop is the Arcane Sanctuary. Now, in the Sanctuary, I gotta say, Teleport still doing absolute work here. So, found the Summoner pretty damn quickly and cleared him out. Didn't really get much from him, but just glad to come in here and just, finish out Sanctuary extremely fast to move on to Duriel. Now, because I'm an actual idiot, I totally forgot to record the Duriel fight, of course, and just surprise, we won. Now, started off Act 3, and right away we found a 4 socket longsword. So we know that we're going to need some dexterity there, but I think it's a good trade off just to have that Spirit Rune Word base. We ended up getting the Gidbin again. Um, are we going to have bad RNG? Are we not? Obviously, we've had some terrible luck here in getting some of these rings, but this time it's another bad ring again. Pretty terrible ring. Lots of mana, which is great, but we don't need this ring. Trash. Now, making our way through the Flayer dungeon here to get our next body part from Kaleem, we ended up finding a battle belt. Now, this is something that I personally have never found playing Diablo 2 legitimately, and it ended up actually being the Snow Clash battle belt, which is a pretty darn good belt to have as a Blizzard sorceress. And that kind of, you know, dawned on me that I really need to add this to my Holy Grail. Now, next up on the list is Travancore Nightmare. So this was actually not too tough. It was definitely tougher than normal for sure, but it was tough enough just to try to keep Hassan here alive the entire time. So had to kind of teleport in, grab a few council members, teleport out, teleport in, teleport out, chain lightning from afar, trying to keep him alive as well, so that way I don't get wrecked. We did end up getting the flail fairly easily, which then allowed us to just teleport in, crush the orb, and then go ahead and teleport back in and hit the Durance of Fate pretty quickly and easily. Next up on the chopping block is Nightmare Mephisto. Took a while to get him down, and of course we have no items to show for the victory, but we'll take it. Now, for some reason, this time Iswal in Nightmare felt way squishier than normal, and I'm not really sure why, but I'm not going to complain because 2 free skill points are always going to be nice if I don't have to struggle with him. Now, moving on to our Nightmare Hellforge, we ended up finding a pretty nice rare bone helm here. I definitely like the fact there's a lot of mana on the helm and some lightning res. Well, some meaning 30%. It's basically like a miniature lore helmet here, but a good find. And as far as the Hellforge itself, I'm always looking for some good runes, and this time we ended up getting a fall rune. So I hope this is a good omen for us to get another obedience for our mercenary. Now, Diablo on Nightmare was a monster, very brutal. Even though pulling the trick of standing right up on his face proved to be difficult in terms of keeping our mercenary alive here, so we had to play, dodge his lightning breath all over again. We did end up taking him down, and we got some pretty decent gear if we were playing a barbarian for the poleaxe. It ended up being the battle branch, which is good for a whirlwind barb or maybe a leap attack. But the one that I'm actually happy that I got is the Saigon's wrap. Some good life, good fire resistance, and most importantly, it's the increased belt size because I keep finding myself just burning out of my health and mana potions. So it's a good find. The thing I'm super excited for is that I get to finally build my spirit rune word. So I'm hoping all my bad luck with my rolls goes away, and it actually does. 35% FCR. I am so happy. Now, saving Anya on Nightmare, I'm kind of thinking to myself, how many times do we have to save Anya and Kane over and over and over again? But I guess the reward is well worth it by getting that extra 10% all resistances, and then we got this pretty nice fire wand here for our Hydra source. Now, Nightmare Ancients were surprisingly easy and went down fairly quickly. I prepped prior to the run by dropping more potions, but I ended up not needing any of them. So for the first time in I don't even know how long, I was comfortably able to wipe out Wave 5, which almost never happens on Nightmare. I usually have to kite them away and teleport around. Gotta love Chain Lightning for those tight groups. Otherwise, Bale was just being Bale again and being stubborn and didn't want to go down, and it took a while, but we finally eventually took him down. He sure has a lot of health. Talk about a sponge, right? But when he finally went down, we realized We got nothing for all of our efforts except for more terror zones and hell. In running some terror zones to get ready for hell, we ended up finding an Istrune. I'm probably not going to make anything with it this run, so I'm definitely going to put it in the shared stash and use it for something in a future video, but really nice find. And Dario was up again for our Terror Zone farm session for experience and some gear. So this time we actually didn't get anything we really needed. We got this nice, unique Fusina, and we got this Endel Shale double bow that we're going to be putting on our Holy Grail. Our next attempt at Andariel didn't yield any drops directly from her. However, there was a really nice small charm that dropped that had 7 magic find, 1 max damage, and 11 attack rating. I'll be using this for the MF, but what a nice charm. Now, normally I'm a little hesitant when I'm starting Hell difficulty, but I cleared out the Den of Evil pretty easily with no issues, so that definitely boosted my confidence a bit going into this last stretch of the run. Typically I notice that things are, a lot harder to kill in the Den of Evil early on. But I don't know if it's just the tight corridors and chain lightning just bouncing off everything. But so far, it seems like Hell is hitting without a hitch. In our quest to yet again save Kane from Tristram, we ended up finding another Hell rune. I'm really starting to think that the game is just trying to taunt me by not giving me a Ko rune at this point for an obedience, but either way, we need to go save that old man for yet another time. Really hoping that this time we get a really good ring from doing all this, maybe something with FCR. But you never know with RNG, right? Especially with my luck these days, anytime I'm saving Kane or even returning the Gidbin. And this time, honestly, is no different. Just another garbage ring that we're probably not going to use. Now, we're definitely going to be running some more Countess runs in Hell, again, hoping for that Ko rune. And instead, we ended up getting a unique large siege bow, which actually ends up being something that I've never found before, and that is the Cliff Killer. So, another good item to add to our Holy Grail list. Continuing on with our Countess runs, I did end up finding this unique Grim Scythe, which ended up being something I've never personally found either. It's the Grimm's Burning Dead. Definitely gave me the idea of a melee necro, so that may be an idea for a future video. Now, doing Countess again, this is another run where, surprise, surprise, we did not get a Ko rune, but a Foul rune. So, thanks, RNG. We totally needed that one, right? However, we did find something pretty amazing here, and I think you guys can already determine what that is just by looking at those bracers, but we ended up finding a Trangul's gloves. Honestly, I really, really love these gloves with that faster cast rate and the cold resistance, so I'll likely be swapping back and forth throughout the rest of the run using that for the FCR and then my other gloves for MF. All right, dear viewers. Once again, I'm a bumbling idiot who plays this game way too late at night, and I get so tired that I forget to record. And I totally forgot to record the Andariel fight on Hell. Obviously, we ended up winning. It took forever, but we did win. The only thing I got from the fight was PTSD. However, with that being said, we did come back and we're doing Radama. Obviously, my worst nightmare came true in the sense of there were many skeletons around him that were lightning immune. Had to go back to town to heal up a little bit. But with that being said, with Radama being physically immune, I had to kind of lure all the skeletons away from him to then teleport next to him so I could just go to town with Chain Lightning, and that ended up doing the trick, and we got our free skill slot.
What a misguided monster.
Now, back again in the maggot layer, so almost bit the dust yet again just for blindly teleporting into a bunch of different corridors here. So obviously I'm not going to be able to kill these things because of the lightning immune, so have to really quickly jump back to town. The Viper Temple, on the other hand, was very easy. Came in, wiped everyone out. Unfortunately, the mercenary wiped out himself, but it is what it is. The sacrifice that was needed to be made just to make sure that I was safely able to get the amulet to go ahead and finish out the total staff. Now, yet again, Arcane Sanctuary and the Summoner were a total breeze, especially with teleport. So nothing crazy happened here. Just wanted to showcase the total just beast that teleport and chain lightning are in the Arcane Sanctuary. But before we continue with Duriel, we made a pit stop at the Countess. Now, I was hoping to get a Ko rune, but never did. And so instead, I found a 2 socket pole arm here that I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and turn this thing into a strength rune word. And this is going to have to suffice for right now, unless I get very lucky with the Ko rune itself, which I don't know if I will. So we go ahead and make that strength for our mercenary to help us out with the rest of the boss fights, the act bosses. And then also at the same time, I just went ahead and made our lore rune and go ahead and I replaced my Dust Deep helmet that I eventually found. Much, much better use of the lore for more damage and mana. Now, with those new items, we ended up taking on and defeating Duriel. He did give us a couple items that I was excited about, but not for this class, right? So we ended up getting a rare ring with some life per hit or a life leech. And then we also ended up getting the Blood Moon sword, which would have been amazing for the Zealer if we got that. Now, starting off Act 3, we had a very easy time in the Spider Cavern collecting old Kalim's eye here, but I did almost definitely get wrecked due to the poison damage. So, almost had a mini heart attack when I ended up teleporting over the wall, just kind of waiting out the poison. So, very, very close call. Probably a really dumb move on my part, but we made it out just fine. I ended up having to play Ring Around the Rosie here with these flayers because of all the lightning resistance, or the lightning immunes, I should say. But we did ultimately get the Gidbin. So this is our final chance, and let's hope we get something good, which we all know with RNG, you're going to get not what you need. So this is a really good, actually, attack rating ring and all res for a melee character. Next stop was another game of Ring Around the Rosie over in the Flayer dungeon because, again, we had a lot of lightning immunes that we had to deal with before we were able to get the next body part here. So I did have to go back to town just to kind of collect myself, catch my breath, heal up a little bit, and then go back in there and just send it and get that chest open and just pop right back out. Finally, the dreaded Hell Travancore. Not gonna lie, guys, this fight was sweaty. I had to kite the council like I was leading a parade, honestly. Dodging the lightning immune champions left and right. One lucky pull, actually, ended up getting us the flail, but the rest, I swear, was a nail biter. So we took out Ice Fist here, we got the flail. We ultimately almost died here because of the Frost Nova for the on death effect. But we obviously survived, so we're good to go. And then after that, all I did was just teleport, use our mercenary as bait, smash the orb, teleport back out, waited a couple seconds for the stairway to open up, and then just popped right back in there and took the stairs down to the Durance of Hate. And with that, Mephisto actually went down a lot easier this time. We were able to keep both ourselves and the mercenary alive. However, unfortunately, the items that he gave us were not up to snuff, and the only thing he gave us that was worth anything was Sosby helmet. Now, the thing that really perplexes me about this run is Hell Iswal and how fast he went down. I honestly don't know what happened here, but that's the fastest I've ever seen Hell Iswal go down in my life. But I'll take it. 2 free skill points. I'll also say that Diablo for Hell went down way easier than Nightmare Diablo, and I'm not going to complain. I will take it all day, every day. So much, much easier run, and we didn't really get much except for another Holy Grail item, which ended up being the Langer Briser Arbalist Bow Crossbow. Now, I gotta say that Hell Agents was a test for a most part. So Korlik, totally easy to take down. Madawak, on the other hand, was a challenge. With that cold enchanted, it took forever for the mercenary to do anything to him because he was also lightning immune. Talik, on the other hand, I just had to teleport back and forth, and we got very lucky before he killed us. So it was a win. And last but not least, everyone, Hellbale was an endurance test. I ran out of rejuves. The mercenary just kept dying on repeat over and over again. He literally felt like a raid boss in World of Warcraft or something. And after a ton of trips to town, we finally finished that grueling battle. Once again, we got another unique poleaxe, which, as we all already know, is the battle branch. So I'm not really surprised there. Again, not bad to have a couple of those items, but this ceremonial pike ended up being Lysander's flank, and it's a totally awesome weapon to add to our Holy Grail list. So super happy to have gotten that. All right. Feel free to pause the video at any point in time to check out some of the gear here as well as the skills that we used. I definitely have to say, you guys, this run was such a blast. Honestly, Chain Lightning performed way better than I honestly expected. I fully thought that it was going to be a hot mess express, but it was awesome during the trash runs or like basically all the enemies in between the major act bosses. The bosses were a little bit more difficult. Obviously, strength on our mercenary totally helped there at the end of the run for the last few bosses, but it was a really good run. I really do think that with more farming and maybe patience, the build can definitely really shine. Um, but at the end of the day, right, you just have to make sure that you're setting up some of that time and kind of going through the game in a way where you're farming enough to make the run even easier for yourself. So, but hey, if you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like and subscribe. It truly is helping the channel grow and helping me know that you like what you're watching. And also leave a comment. Let me know what build you'd like to see next. And well, until then, I hope you guys stay zappy and have a great rest of your days. And I'll see you next time. Peace, everybody.